with the total number of Koreans abroad reaching 7.2 million in 2015. The experiences of the two countries merit a serious comparative study, but in my speech, I'm going to do something different. I would like to talk about issues which arise from changes taking place in many parts of the world and which stimulate our general conceptual understanding of the world in which we live. In this speech, I'd like to bring into light some interesting features of diaspora engagement policies deployed by various countries and share with you my ideas about how those changes reshape the notion and institution of citizenship and international order composed of nation-states as fundamental units. I will focus my talk on three political and legal aspects of diaspora engagement. The participation of the diaspora in the politics of the state of origin, the incorporation of the diaspora into the citizenry of the state of origin by tolerating dual citizenship, and the creation of a special diaspora status and preferential treatment of the holders of that status vis-a-vis other foreigners by reason of their ethnic or national origin. To begin with, I must speak a little bit about the concept of diaspora. The term diaspora comes from the Greek word spero, meaning to sow, and dia, meaning over, and has come to denote the dispersion of people or a population that has been separated from their homeland as a result of dispersion. While the term is, in its original lexicon, is applied to populations displaced from their homeland through some catastrophic processes, such as Jews, Armenians, and Palestinians, its usage has expanded to embrace groups that have various other backgrounds of dispersion, such as trade, as in the cases of the Chinese and Indian diasporas. And nowadays, the term is so loosely used that it often encompasses all groups of immigrants and expatriates. Both Filipinos and Koreans apply the term diaspora to Filipinos overseas and overseas Koreans, respectively. And even British expatriates call themselves the British diaspora. Many states try to engage with the diasporas. The Philippines has a government agency named the Commission on Filipinos Overseas. Korea also has an overseas Koreans policy. It is administered by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with much of its work carried out by the Overseas Koreans Foundation. Among the diaspora engagement policies adopted by many states are various ways of economic incorporation, such as creating incentives for remittances and investments, and cultural incorporation, such as supporting language education for younger generation expatriates. It is often believed that diaspora engagement policies are unique to less developed immigrant-centered countries or countries with traumatic historical backgrounds of dispersion. Comparative studies show that it is not true. Even immigration countries such as New Zealand and the United Kingdom either have developed engagement programs or are under pressure to develop such programs. In 1999 and 2004, the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe adopted reports and recommendations entitled Links Between Europeans Living Abroad and Their Countries of Origin, to encourage European countries to strengthen their ties with immigrants and expatriates. The Parliamentary Assembly updated its decision set forth in these reports and recommendations by way of a report, resolution, and recommendation adopted in 2009. These documents bear the title engaging European diasporas. So that the term diaspora is used in such a wide ways. The Council of Europe's interest in diaspora issues in Europe has greatly expanded the scope of comparative diaspora studies. Like many immigrant-setting countries in Asia, Central America, Latin America, quite a number of European countries have concern for their diasporas in other parts of the world, North America in particular, and try to develop policies for engaging with those groups. But many European cases involve groups having very much different backgrounds. In the aftermath of the disintegration of the communist bloc and socialist federations, many groups of people found themselves separated from their home country. What Rogers Brubaker terms accidental diasporas came into existence as a result of this kind of redrawing of the political map. Brubaker contrasts the accidental diaspora with the labor migrant diaspora widely seen in the parts of the world. Whereas a labor migrant diaspora is formed by the movement of people across borders, an accidental diaspora is constituted by the movement of borders across people. Major examples of accidental diaspora are Russians stranded in the Baltic states and Serbs and Croats in other parts of the former Yugoslavia. They are stranded as minorities in what became foreign states. They are called kin minorities with ethno-national links with their kin state. In fact, accidental diasporas are not devoid of migration elements. Russians in other parts of the former Soviet republics, for example, had moved to those countries and settled there before the disintegration of the Soviet Union. The term diaspora can be applied to such people as long as there was a migration element. There are, however, minorities left out of their homeland as a result of the movement of borders, with no movement of people. Magyars, or ethnic Hungarians, in the Transylvanian region of Romania, are a case in point. Those Magyars, or Hungarians, were separated from their homeland and became citizens of Romania as a result of the peace settlement after the First World War. It is problematic whether these people should be called the diaspora because there was no migration. But in this speech, I will not distinguish between diasporas formed through migration and minorities stranded outside of the home country without migration. Now let me turn to diaspora engagement policies. As I indicated at the beginning, I am going to address some of the political and legal issues that arise from diaspora engagement. Those issues have much to do with what status the members have, the members of the diaspora have. The members of the diaspora have differing statuses. Some are citizens of the state of origin, others are citizens of the state of residence, and of course there are dual citizens. One of the biggest political issues arising from engagement with those who retain the citizenship of the state of origin relates to the political participation of people who reside outside of the country. I understand that the Philippines implemented an out-of-country voting procedure in 2003 by enacting the Overseas Absentee Voting Act. Filipinos living abroad participated in national elections for the first time in 2004. I'm not a Philippine expert, so please correct me if I got anything wrong. The Republic of Korea briefly allowed overseas voting in the early 1970s, primarily for troops stationed in Vietnam. But it was in 2009 that a full-scale out-of-country voting procedure was introduced, precipitated by a constitutional court decision in 2007, which declared that the lack of such a procedure was not in conformity with the Constitution. The Philippines is more advanced than Korea because it allows postal voting on top of personal voting, whereas Koreans abroad can only vote by visiting polling stations. In any case, the Philippines and Korea are in tune with the times. Incorporating diaspora members into the active citizenry is now regarded as a democratic requirement. The Council of Europe has adopted it as an important agenda on a number of occasions. Article 41 of has nothing to do with the Council of Europe, but even more important, Article 41 of the Migrant Workers' Convention, which is a multilateral workers' convention, stipulates the political rights of migrant workers and their family members. Since immigrants such as migrant workers contribute greatly to their country as centers of remittances and sources of investments, it would be difficult to restrict their participation in the political affairs of the home country. Their rights, however, are not a critical core for their contributions. Their rights are not contingent upon what they can do for their country, although immigrant contributions make up a powerful rationale in favor of the introduction of out-of-country voting. On the other hand, should all members of the diaspora enjoy political rights on equal terms? Some members of the diaspora have no links with their homeland, except holding a passport of the country. They cannot even speak the language, they have no knowledge of history, and they don't even find any kind of identity with the homeland. Why should they be given the right to participate in making significant decisions on the future of the country on a par with Western citizens? For this reason, quite a number of countries, including Australia, the United Kingdom, and Germany, curtail the voting rights of citizens who have been out of the country, and for Germany, out of the European Union for a certain amount of time. Many countries limit out-of-country voting to temporary absentees. Ireland, Israel, and Denmark are examples. The European Court of Human Rights held that the member states were not under an obligation to grant non-citizens an unrestricted access to franchise, and that the margin of appreciation enjoyed by the state in this area still remains a wide one. So, the countries are free to restrict the voting rights of people living outside of the country for a certain amount of time. But it is equally true that restrictions disappear in parallel with increasing diaspora connectivity with the country of origin. Canada removed its 5-year expiry rule. That is, Canada used to have a kind of restriction on voting by people who have lived outside the country for more than 5 years, but this restriction has gone. The Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines provides for a 1-year residence requirement for suffrage, but with room for absentee voting legislation to make exceptions. The Philippines requires permanent residence in foreign countries to execute an affidavit of resumption of residence in the Philippines. But this requirement was removed by the Overseas Voting Act of 2013. Am I right? Korea differs from the Philippines in that it distinguishes between temporary absentees and permanent immigrant voters, and precludes the latter, the permanent immigrant voters, from constituency elections, but because they have no connection with any geographic constituency in Korea. But an increasing percentage of Koreans abroad are registered as temporary absentees despite living and working in the countries where they are. Well, Mr. Hyun is here, and he knows very well. There are more than 100,000 Koreans living in the Philippines, but only a very tiny minority of them register themselves as voters when there is an election. And those voters register themselves as absentee voters, not permanent residents in they are practically permanent residents. They have their businesses here, they have their living wages here, their children are just brought up here, born in the country and brought up here. So these are actually permanent immigrants, but almost all of them register themselves as absentee voters. So there's a kind of with the increase of transport and communications and movements, the distinction between temporary absentees and permanent diaspora will attenuate. Another sensitive issue involved in the political participation of the diaspora is about dual citizenship. Popular hostility to dual citizenship is based above all on the belief that dual citizens have split loyalty. Dual citizens have an exit option when the country is in danger. As people ask why they should enjoy equal political rights if they can just escape from the country where the country is at war. So they take no responsibility in the consequences of the decision in which they participate in making. Many countries bar dual citizens from obtaining high public positions or taking on sensitive responsibilities in intelligence or security-related fields. Nevertheless, countries cannot bar citizens from voting only because they are dual citizens, as long as those dual citizens are willing to or required to act as citizens. Restrictions on the electoral rights of dual citizens follow the rules on the residence requirements, if there are any such rules. By enacting the Citizenship Retention and Reacquisition Act in 2003, the Philippines came to tolerate dual citizenship on a broad scale. Dual citizens, or duals as they are called in the Philippines, were at first denied the exception to the constitutional residence requirement for suffrage, but thanks to a Supreme Court decision, duals living in foreign countries may now exercise their voting rights under the same conditions as other non-resident citizens. While countries such as Korea and India are reluctant to incorporate diaspora members into the citizenry by tolerating their dual citizenship, an increasing number of countries are using dual citizenship as a means of expanding the Staatsbürger or the state citizenry beyond borders. This is one of the features of the transnationalization of nation-statehood that I have inquired into over the past years. The 1990s witnessed a widespread trend of legal change in favor of tolerating the dual citizenship of diaspora members. 6 Latin American countries, including Brazil and Mexico, changed their laws in that direction. The Philippines legislation of 2003 can be understood in the same context. These changes reflected the immigrant-sending states' strategy to support their diasporas for their stable settlement in the country of residence on the one hand, and to incorporate former citizens and their descendants back into the state citizenry on the other. I would tentatively call this pattern the immigrant integration constellation of dual citizenship policies. There has been another pattern since the beginning of the 1990s. This has been most conspicuous in Eastern Europe since the fall of communism. After the breakup of the socialist federations, the formerly constituent republics had to find ways to maintain links with their co-ethnics or accidental diasporas left beyond the newly drawn borders. They have developed external citizenship regimes with generous attitudes to dual citizenship. The Constitution of the Russian Republic has a peculiar provision declaring that a citizen may have citizenship of a foreign state in accordance with federal law and foreign international treaty. In Yugoslavia, both Serbia and Croatia have used dual citizenship for incorporating Serbs and Croats respectively in other republics, primarily in Bosnia and Herzegovina. fall of communism stimulated former communist countries to revive their erstwhile suppressed ethno-national concern and to develop programs for reaching out to kin minorities in neighboring countries. In 1991, Romania enacted a new nationality law allowing remote naturalization. This resulted, naturalization without coming to Romania. This resulted in the acquisition of Romanian citizenship by a large number of citizens in Moldova having Romanian origin. Bulgaria has also implemented similar citizenship rules. Even the former Prime Minister of Macedonia, Lyubcho Georgievsky, was among the people who acquired Bulgarian citizenship through these routes. Suppose the president of the Philippines acquired the citizenship of Malaysia, for example. Hungary is looked upon as a paradigm example of using external citizenship for kin minority incorporation. By amending its nationality law in 2010, Hungary turned many citizens of neighboring countries, including martyrs in Transylvania, into Hungarian citizens. I would call this pattern the ethnic nation building constellation. This constellation is more prone to provoke controversy than the immigrant integration constellation. While immigrant countries are also not free from international tension when they strategize dual citizenship. For example, there are some Americans who feel uncomfortable with Mexicans acquiring American citizenship, US citizenship without renouncing Mexican citizenship, so they become dual citizens, dual split loyalty between the United States and Russia, and Mexico, and they even say that this dual citizenship policy adopted by Mexico is a kind of strategy, Mexico's strategy to override the Guadalupe Hidalgo Treaty, which ceded the southern part of the United States by Mexico. Mexico ceded the southern part of the United States, what now became the southern part of the United States. Croatia's dual citizenship policies in the early 1990s caused instability in neighboring Bosnia and Herzegovina by appropriating its citizens as the kin-state citizens, which in turn strengthened Croatia's exclusionary nation policy within its territory, where other former constituent nations of Yugoslavia were relegated to minorities, while the constitution enshrined Croats as a titular nation. Furthermore, it had an impact on the political balance in Croatia in favor of the aggressive nationalist president, Franjo Tuđman's party. Tuđman was not popular in Zagreb, but his party secured a parliamentary majority thanks to support from Croats in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Hungary's case is a more recent example of controversy. When Hungary executed its amended nationality law in 2010 and granted Hungarian citizenship to Magyars in neighboring countries, Slovakia retaliated by amending its nationality law, so their citizens who voluntarily acquired foreign citizenship lose their Slovak citizenship. The Slovak law was challenged in Slovakia's constitutional court and the European Court of Human Rights, but the challenges were unsuccessful. No attempt of weaponizing external citizenship has been more obtrusive than Russia's mass passportization of residents in Georgia's secessionist regions of South Ossetia and Abkhazia. Strictly speaking, this is not a case of ethnic nation building, because Russia tried to reach out to these people not on the ground of their ethnic affinity with Russians, but by reason of their former USSR citizenship. So they are former citizens of the Soviet Union, so they can be Russian citizens. That was the logic. The independent international fact-finding mission on the conflict of Georgia, organized by the European Union, observed that the mass conferral of Russian citizenship upon those populations was neither legally binding nor lawful under international law. This observation against mass passportization was reiterated by the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe's recommendation on engaging European diasporas in more general terms. There are, however, few effective mechanisms, almost no effective mechanism to suppress external citizenship being used for trans-border nationalist projects. If the acquisition of citizenship is voluntary, and if there is some factual connection between the state that grants citizenship and the person that acquires it, that citizenship should be respected. By this kind of external citizenship strategy, whether it is for ethnic nation building or immigrant integration, states expand their personal boundaries beyond borders and thereby create a trans-border nation state. Now, I'm going to introduce another pattern of trans-border expansion of membership. It is the creation of a special diaspora status, a status that is given to diaspora members who are not citizens. Such people can be called kin foreigners. In 1999, Korea enacted law on the immigration and legal status of overseas Koreans, which is more often called the Overseas Koreans Act. This law created a special category of people called co-ethnics of foreign nationality, or 외국 국적 동포. A co-ethnic of foreign nationality is defined as a former Korean citizen or his or her lineal descendant. Such a person may enter Korea with an overseas Korean visa, or which is called F4, and may reside and work for income in Korea with much greater freedom than foreigners of non-Korean origin. While the holder of this status is not allowed to have a manual labor job in Korea, there is another scheme that is exclusively for co-ethnics from China and the former Soviet Union who wish to work in less skilled job sectors. Unlike the overseas Korean status, this working visa status, which is called H2, does not allow the holder to stay for more than 5 years. But the holder has greater freedom in employment and choice of jobs than guest workers of non-Korean origin admitted through the employment permit system. So compared with Filipino workers working in Korea, these co-ethnic workers from China and the Soviet Union have a greater choice in jobs, and they are privileged vis-a-vis workers from other countries or workers who have no Korean ethnic origin. I had a chance to interview the person in charge of drafting the Overseas Koreans Act in 1999. That was Mr. Kim Jun-gil, who was Director of International Legal Affairs at the Ministry of Justice when drafting the law, and who later became Prosecutor General. People know him as a Prosecutor General, but a few people know that he was in charge of drafting the law. Mr. Kim recalls that he and his team had no model to turn to when they drafted the Overseas Koreans Act. Well, Mr. Kim is very proud that the law was totally his invention. Why no model? Was Korea the first country to enact that kind of law? In fact, there were already similar laws in some other countries. In 1995, Turkey enacted the so-called Lex Rona and issued pink cards to foreigners of Turkish origin. With their pink cards, kin foreigners are entitled to national treatment in land ownership, employment, and other economic rights. The pink card is now called the blue card. In 1997, Slovakia enacted its law on expatriate Slovaks. Foreigners of Slovak ethnic origin were issued expatriate cards, given visa-free entry, residence and employment, and granted preferential treatment in real estate ownership and social support. It is so strange that the drafters of the Overseas Koreans Act had to work out the text of the legislation from their brains only, because that kind of legislation was rarely heralded in most parts of the world until 2001, when Hungary enacted its Act on Hungarians living in neighboring countries, better known as the Hungarian Status Law. So we cannot really blame those drafters of the Overseas Korean Acts for their ignorance of this comparative cases that had already taken place in other parts of the world. The Hungarian Status Law was designed to give preferential treatment to persons of Hungarian ethnic origin in 6 neighboring countries, including Romania and Slovakia. As this law provoked furor on the part of Romania and Slovakia, the Venice Commission of the Council of Europe was invited to conduct an investigation of similar laws in Europe. And its report on the preferential treatment of national minorities by their twin states, published in 2001, became the first comparative study of such laws. The Venice Commission found 9 cases of statute or administrative regulation, beginning with a 1979 Austrian law providing benefits to German-speaking people in the Italian province of Bolzano, which used to be part of the Habsburg Empire. The other cases came from Bulgaria, Greece, Italy, Romania, Russia, Slovakia, and Slovenia. Because the Hungarian case was at the center of the debate surrounding this type of legislation, the word status law became a generic term to denote legislation that provides for a special status for kin foreigners. So the Overseas Koreans Act can be said to be an example of status law. The status law syndrome spread to other countries. In 2004, the Ukraine enacted the law on the status of foreign Ukrainians. And in 2007, Poland passed the Act on the Polish ethnicity card. In 2009, Serbia adopted a statute named the Law on Diaspora and Serbs in the Region. Some countries that already had status laws updated or revised their schemes. Hungary amended its status law in 2003, and in 2005, Slovakia replaced its 1997 law with the Act on Slovaks living abroad. Whereas Hungary and Slovakia curtailed, there was a misprint, it's curtailed, curtailed some of the benefits given to the kin foreigners, some countries expanded and strengthened their engagement policies. Slovenia has done so with its 2006 Act regulating relations between the Republic of Slovenia and Slovenians abroad. Greece has subsequently taken a stream of legislative and administrative measures. Russia amended its federal law on state policy in respect of compatriots abroad 8 times until 2013. While status laws flourished in Eastern Europe, similar laws and policies have been adopted in countries outside of Europe. In the same year that Korea enacted its Overseas Koreans Act, India introduced its Persons of Indian Origin Scheme, or KIO scheme, to provide economic benefits to the members of the Indian diaspora who did not have Indian citizenship. This has been merged into the Overseas Citizenship of India, or OCI scheme, which was introduced in 2003 and relaunched in 2005. The Overseas Citizenship of India may sound like an external citizenship, so dual citizenship. But it is not a full citizenship. So these people, the overseas citizens of India, are not actually Indian citizens. They are foreigners from the perspective of international law. In Africa, Ethiopia introduced the status of foreign nationals of Ethiopian origin in 2003. These Ethiopians are given what is called a yellow card to enjoy some privilege compared with other foreigners. In South America, Suriname adopted the law establishing the status of persons of Sudanese origin in 2014. An Indonesian scholar I know is calling for the introduction of a similar scheme for Indonesia. So he cites the Korean case, the Overseas Koreans Act, as a kind of model for Indonesia. The Austrian political theorist Rainer Bauer coined the term ethnicity to capture such practice of preferential treatment of kin foreigners. He defines ethnicity as an external quasi-citizenship given to non-citizens on the basis of ethnic descent and perceived common ethnicity. I think this term ethnicity is very useful, but I would modify this definition and use the term to denote a preferential status given by the state to non-citizens in or from other states. I would add from other states by reason of ethnic or national affinity, considering the fact that descent is not the only basis of ethnicity, and the benefits attached to ethnicity are enjoyed more in the territory of the kin state or the state of origin than in the host state. Ethnicity schemes are diverse in nature. I can't spend too much time on discerning the similarities and differences between those cases. Just let me introduce some of the criteria for comparison. Firstly, some ethnicity practices are backed up by constitutional provisions. We know that many constitutions provide for the duty of the state to protect its citizens abroad. And there's nothing strange about it in countries such as citizens living outside the country, the state has the duty to protect them. That's not strange. Many countries put those constitutions have that kind of provision. What is interesting is that there are quite a number of constitutions containing provisions concerning non-citizen co-ethnics abroad or diasporas. The Hungarian Constitution declares that Hungary bears responsibility for the fate of Hungarians living beyond its borders. These Hungarians are not just Hungarian citizens, but ethnic Hungarians. The Croatian Constitution says that parts of the Croatian nation in other states shall be guaranteed special concern and protection by the Republic of Croatia. Parts of the Croatian nation are not just Croatian citizens, but people who have Croatian ethnic origin, and the country is not professing to protect those co-ethnics. That's really very obtrusive. Similar, though less obtrusive provisions are found in the constitutions of Poland, Slovakia, Romania, Albania, Serbia, Slovenia, Macedonia, Ukraine, Armenia, and Tajikistan. This is not peculiar to Eastern European countries, often regarded as ridden with ethnic nationalism. Ireland, Greece, Portugal, and Spain have provisions on people of Irish ancestry, immigrant Greeks, immigrant children, and Latin American countries which have special links with Spain, respectively. In Asia, Vietnam and North Korea express special concern for overseas Vietnamese and Koreans overseas. Not all these countries have developed citizenship schemes, ethnicity schemes, while Hungary, Poland, Slovakia, Serbia, and Ukraine have ethnicity schemes backed up by their constitutions. A large number of ethnicity cases are not coupled with any constitutional commitment. These constitutional cases are me and some other scholars who were commissioned by the Overseas Koreanist Foundation to conduct research on constitutions across the world which have this kind of provisions, because I think the Overseas Koreanist Act, which wants to have a kind of expansive diaspora policy, has in mind the possibility of putting a provision on this kind of diaspora engagements in the Constitution when the Korean Constitution is amended in the future. There is a lot of debate in Korea about constitutional amendments, and I think the Korea's Foundation had that in mind. I cannot talk about the soundness of that kind of policy in this moment. Another significant criterion is how to define the ethnicity, language affiliation, the ethnic origin and culture, the geographic origin and past citizenship are major criteria for defining the beneficiaries of such status laws. A related criterion is whether the law and policy target all members of the diaspora wherever they live or ethno-national kin in specific countries in the same region only. Schemes can be distinguished by whether individual rights are given or only collective support is provided. The Romanian status law is a case in point. It might be inadequate to apply the term ethnicity to schemes which only provide collective support because there is not a kind of individual membership of an ethnic group. Among other criteria are whether the benefits are economic or cultural in nature, whether the law provides for a special immigration status, and as I mentioned, whether benefits are distributed in the host state or the kin state only. Ethnicity, or the preferential non-citizen diaspora status, apparently challenges the logic of the Westphalian international order based on the segmentation of the world population into territorially bounded nation-states, where the nation and state are supposed to coincide with each other. Ethnicity registers a decoupling of the nation from the state citizenry. When the legitimacy of the Hungarian status law was at issue, an explanatory memorandum for a resolution of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe bluntly asserted that public international law was based on state and citizenship, and that it left no room for the concept of nation. So the nation has no place in international law, only state or citizenship. The creation of a national membership separate from state citizenship might generate discomfort on the part of people who admire international law. But there has not been much discussion about the normative side of ethnicity. The Venice Commission's 2001 report was probably the first normative outline about ethnicity practices spelled out by an international public body. It examined the practices by reference to 4 principles, but I would reorganize the discussion into 2 parts. The first is whether an ethnicity scheme violates the sovereignty of another state. Ethnicity involves the execution of a law that has effects upon citizens of another state. But that fact alone does not constitute an infringement of the host state's sovereignty. According to the Venice Commission, it is only when the effects of the law take place in the territory of the host state that a status law or ethnicity legislation becomes problematic. The kin state may legitimately do something on the territory of the host state, such as distributing cultural or educational benefits like scholarships to support the kin state's language education in the host state. But Korea spends money on in the Philippines to support Korean language education, Korean history education, knowledge, distribute scholarships. The law takes effect in the Philippines, but it is legitimate. But as long as, but the Venice Commission report suggests that even this kind of activity is legitimate only when it is based on the consent of the host state. Among the status laws, those of Bulgaria, Hungary, Russia, Serbia, and Slovenia have effects that take place in the territory of the host state as well as the king state. In the majority of cases, including Korea, Turkey, and India, benefits are given only when the target people come to the king state. In this respect, ethnicity schemes are mainly designed to support the return migration of diaspora members. The second principle is equality. Because ethnicity involves preferential treatment of a certain group of foreigners, the question of discrimination arises. János Kéz, a Hungarian political philosopher and the fiercest critic of the Hungarian status law, argued that the status law was unconstitutional because it created without mandate a third category between the two categories of subjects recognized by the Constitution, that is, the citizen and every person. In Korea, the Overseas Koreans Act became an object of heated debate in the first few years. Some people criticized it as discriminatory because it distinguished between different groups of foreigners on the basis of ethnic origin and gave preference to co-ethnics of the rest. In fact, the Korean ethnicities, that is, co-ethnics of foreign nationality, are defined in terms of past citizenship, not ethnic origin. They are former citizens and their descendants. The Korea's National Human Rights Commission gave an opinion that while different treatment on grounds of ethnic origin would be at variance with the constitutional principle of equality, preferential treatment based on past citizenship, preferentially treating former citizens and their descendants, was not unconstitutional. But I can probably elaborate on this later on, particularly with reference to whether there is any difference, practical difference between treatment, preferential treatment of certain group of people on the basis of ethnic origin and on the basis of past citizenship. In examining the discrimination question, the Venice Commission was more interested in the nature of the benefit than how the beneficiary is defined. It said that preferential treatment was legal only in the field of education and culture, and in other fields, it was acceptable only in exceptional circumstances. So no economic preference should be given. Well, I must say that the Venice Commission was blind to the widespread preference in other fields. Immigration preference is particularly widespread, and the catalogue of ethnicity cases gets much bigger if we include all kinds of immigration preference. The Japan's preferential migration labor policy in favor of the Nikkei, free people of Japanese origin from South America, becomes a good example of ethnicity. Even the United Kingdom also has a preferential visa named the UK Ancestry Visa. One of my favorite works on citizenship is Christian Yocke's book, Selecting by Origin. Christian Yocke was invited to a conference in 2013 organized by the Scholarly Migration Center. In that book, Yocke observes that the contemporary liberal state is in the crossfire of de-ethnicization and re-ethnicization, and that ethnic migration will continue, but it will do so only within liberal constraints. Those constraints depend on whether the discrimination is positive or negative, and on the rationale and language of discrimination. So we should have a kind of nuanced approach in judging the soundness of this kind of policy. Advocates of ethnicity compares that mode of engagement with the external citizenship or dual citizenship strategy. They ask, for example, Koreans, when they are criticized for having this kind of law, Overseas Koreans Act, and they say, what's wrong with granting co-ethnic some preferential treatment, while many countries give them citizenship, dual citizenship, allowing dual citizenship. It is true that ethnicity is a lesser status than citizenship, and that even the most blatant form of ethnicity is less conflict-prone than appropriating certain parts of another state's citizenry into one's Staatsbürger, just like what Russia did towards Abkhazia and South Ossetia. In many cases, ethnicity is adopted as an alternative to conferring citizenship to avoid conflict both domestically and internationally. But while it does look benign, it may look anomalous under the hegemonic gaze of the international legal order because it disturbs the logic of the nation-state based on the belief that the nation and the state coincide with each other. Despite a greater danger of pernicious abuse, the dual citizenship strategy may be more compatible with the logic of the nation-state because it contributes to making the nation and the state citizenry coincide by closing the gap between the Staatsnation and the Volksnation. This anomaly of ethnicity should not, however, be exaggerated. In the majority of cases, ethnicity is practiced without much noise. When Korea was launching the Overseas Koreans Act, China complained that Korea was trying to meddle with Koreans in China who were citizens of China. In response, Korea excluded ethnic Koreans in China from the scope of the law. Although later the law was amended, and those diaspora groups were brought back into the trans-border. Transnationalism is practiced by migrants, but agents of transnationalism are not confined to individuals. States also practice transnationalism. Features of state practice transnationalism or transnationalism from above are well captured by accounts of policies and strategies of states that seek to engage with their diasporas. The making, existence, and expansion of the citizenry outside of the borders and the increasing transborder political participation of the diaspora mark a transnationalization of the nation-state and citizenship. While the territorial boundaries remain the same, the personal boundaries of the state expand. There is a growing mismatch between territoriality and peoplehood, but the personal boundaries of the nation coincide with the personal boundaries of the state. To that extent, the logic of the nation-state is unaffected. On the other hand, the development of a special diaspora status or ethno-national membership different from citizenship illustrates the creation of a transnational nation separate from the state and the decoupling of the nation from the state citizenry. Status laws have spread since the 1990s, and the increasing number of constitutions provide for links between the state and the non-citizen members of the nation. Some people characterize this change as a movement transcending the nation-state and the emergence of a postmodern form of citizenship. For example, the Hungarian foreign minister, when the Hungarian status law was enacted, justified the Hungarian status law as a kind of new trend, the trend of creating a community of communities. So he said Europe should become a community of communities and not a community of nation states. So the Hungarian status law was in the forefront of bringing that kind of new order which transcends nation statehood. Although that change poses challenges to the logic of the nation state and the international order composed of nation states as its fundamental units, that character should not be exaggerated. The decoupled nation and state are often recoupled through the conferral of external citizenship. Ethnicity often proves to be a stepping stone towards external citizenship, resulting in dual citizenship. Hungary was the probably best example of this. Further, the transnational nation created or expanded by ethnicity or a non-citizen diaspora status seldom challenges the state that has created or expanded it. Transnational nationhood projects are still projects of nation states. Thank you very much.